Well, growing up, I did not grow up with any faith-based teaching or in a faith-based home or anything like that. I grew up just kind of living from day to day, but still claiming to be a Christian, because when you grow up in the Bible Belt, that's what you do. So when I left home and went to college, I didn't really have any sort of sense of identity or what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be. I didn't have goals, I didn't have aspirations, anything like that. When you live that way, it's really easy to get into a place where you just do whatever you feel like is acceptable to the people that you're trying to run with in your life, that you're trying to do life with. And then you partner that with just being a rage-filled person, because that's what I was. I was just this really rage-filled, angry person because of the things that I had experienced as a kid. When you are angry and have no identity and you don't have any sort of faith foundation, you don't know how to deal with that. And then you get married, you have a kid, you throw postpartum depression on top of that, and lots of bad choices. I was the queen of bad choices. I was the queen of doing whatever I needed to do for the person in front of me to give me acceptance and validation. And I hit rock bottom really, really quickly. My marriage was falling apart. I was in a really, really bad place. I was suicidal. And I remember so vividly hitting this point where I thought, well, I guess now I know that I believe in God at least a little bit, because I don't feel right about ending my life. And that was the moment that I said yes to Jesus, and I invited him into my life. And I just hit my knees in my bedroom all alone and just said, God, I can't do this anymore. You've got to come and do something, because I cannot live this way. I was still struggling with not having an identity. When you start from nothing, you don't really have anything to build off of, which is great in a way because you can start from scratch. But I also didn't have any jumping off point of knowing where to start. And so I just kind of started trying to do the Christian stuff. In order for me to be a Christian, I had to fix myself up so I fit the bill. It's that same concept of trying to mold myself into whatever the person in front of me finds acceptable. I was doing that for God. For years, whenever I first became a believer, for the first 2 or 3 years, I remember just being so frustrated that I could not understand why it was so difficult to be a good Christian. And then I got to the point where God really spoke to me and told me that I was trying to sanctify myself. You can change all the behaviors you want, but that's not going to change your heart. And he needed to come in and change my heart. So walking in freedom in that has opened me up to not feel like I am in charge of molding myself. The only thing that I'm in charge of is giving Christ room to do that, and allowing him to come in and change me and make me look more like himself. Because if I could do that, then I wouldn't have needed a savior. I wouldn't have needed Christ to die on the cross for me, because I would have been able to do it all by myself. I think the first thing that comes to mind with the cross is we're finished, but we're not finished. Christ's work on the cross was to end the stranglehold that sin had on my life. It's almost like the cross has taken on this concept of a jumping off point. Okay, we're in relationship now, let's get started, because I have so many cool things for us planned, and I cannot wait for us to grow together and get to know each other more and introduce other people to the cross.